Some love stories are too powerful to fade with time. They live in the corners of memory, waiting, longing, aching to return. This is not the beginning. This is not the end. This is the moment where love dares to rise again, asterisk the city of loss. Angeles has changed. Skyscrapers now stretch higher than ever, neon lights spill across streets that never sleep, and strangers rush by with their own unfinished stories. Yet within this restless world there is a silence, an emptiness that belongs to two hearts that once found each other against all odds. She walks alone, her heels clicking softly against the pavement. No faces shown, only fragments, red shoes brushing through puddles, a hand brushing back loose hair, a shadow that glides through the crowd. Years have passed, and the world believes her story was written long ago. But in her silence, in her steps, there lingers a rhythm, the faint echo of laughter, of a love once bright, now hidden beneath layers of time. Far above the crowded streets, in an office of glass and steel he stands, a man shaped by ambition, by deals struck and lost, by victories that never filled the hollowness left behind. He stares at the horizon, where the sun sets over the city, its glow touching skyscrapers with gold. He does not smile. His hand rests on the edge of his desk, motionless, as though waiting for something or someone who never returned. Once they were unstoppable together. Two souls from different worlds who had dared to believe in something rare. But time is a thief, and life does not always allow love to remain untouched. Promises faded, paths divided, and years stacked themselves like walls between them. Yet, walls can crack, promises can call out again. And sometimes destiny chooses to circle back. The night falls. The city grows louder. Yet their lives remain quiet, bound not by words but by memory. She sits at a cafe by herself, fingers curled, around a coffee cup, staring out at the rain-streaked glass. He attends a gathering filled with laughter and light, but his gaze is far, as if searching for a shadow that has not entered the room. Love, once broken, has a way of haunting. It lingers in the scent of a dress, in the rhythm of a familiar song, in the echo of footsteps that sound too much like yesterday. Neither of them knows it yet, but fate has begun to stir. The world around them moves forward, yet destiny has chosen to turn back the clock. And when two people who once defined what it means to fall in love cross paths again after years apart, there can be no ordinary reunion. There can only be fire. There can only be storms. There can only be the question that burns louder than time itself. Can love truly be reborn? Asterisk years change people in ways no mirror can capture. The glow of youth becomes a shadow of wisdom, and the laughter once free and reckless is softened by the weight of choices made. For her, life was never the same after him. The fairy tale she had lived felt too fragile to last forever. He was her dream, but dreams are hard to carry when the world demands reality. And so the story ended, or at least that's what they told themselves, yet endings are not always honest. Endings sometimes hide unfinished chapters. She carries her life now with grace, but also with a quiet ache that refuses to vanish. She has built walls around her heart, taller than the city's glass towers. Walls made of broken promises and unanswered questions. Each morning she slips into her routine, her reflection in the mirror calm and composed, but her eyes holding a question no one dares to answer. What if? He too has his ghosts. His empire grew larger, his reputation stronger, his name more powerful, but none of it filled the empty chair across his table, the quiet evenings where success felt meaningless. The memory of her face, the way she laughed without fear, the way she looked at him as if he were more than the man the world believed him to be, still follows him in the shadows. But pride is a cruel companion, and pride kept him from reaching back when it mattered most. Now, fate moves quietly, weaving its way through the streets, drawing them closer without their knowing. A chance encounter brews on the horizon, but with it comes the storm. For love that has slept for decades does not awaken gently, it rises like fire. Demanding to be seen, demanding to be tested, the city becomes their stage once more. She steps into a bookstore on a rainy afternoon, flipping through a novel about second chances, her lips curling into the faintest smile at the irony. Across town he attends a meeting, his mind far from the numbers and charts displayed before him. His thoughts drift to the night sky outside, the same sky she once compared to diamonds scattered across velvet. Time has taken them apart, but memory ties them still. The conflict does not lie only between them. It lies within them. She fears the pain of opening doors once shut, of trusting a love that once slipped through her fingers. He fears the vulnerability of admitting regret, of showing the cracks beneath his polished surface. Both carry scars invisible to the eye but heavy on the soul, and yet, destiny is not silent. It whispers, it pulls. It tempts. That night, under the glow of city lights blurred by rain, their paths cross again. No words are spoken. No names are called, just two shadows colliding after years of silence. Her hand brushes against his in the crowd, an accidental touch, fleeting and fragile, but powerful enough to stop time. For a single heartbeat, the city disappears, and they are once again the two souls who once dared to believe in forever, but reality returns swiftly. She steps back, unsure. He hesitates, caught between pride and longing. The silence between them is louder than any words, and yet everything is said in that silence. This is not a simple reunion. It is not the fairy tale returning unchanged. This is the collision of past and present, love and regret, hope and fear. Two hearts that once knew each other better than anyone, now standing as strangers in a world that has moved on. The storm has only begun. The question is not whether they will find each other again. The question is whether they can survive what time has turned them into, for love is not a memory. Love is a choice. And soon, they must decide if the choice is worth everything. Love, when it returns after years of silence, does not arrive gently. It comes like a storm, wild, unpredictable, impossible to ignore. Their lives, carefully built on foundations of control and caution, begin to tremble as the past seeps into the present. The city around them carries on with its endless rhythm. But for the two who have met again, every sound fades, every light blurs, every moment narrows into the undeniable pull between them. She feels it first in the quiet of her nights. Sleep does not come easily, for her mind drifts back to the chance encounter, his hand brushing hers, the electricity of a memory reawakened. The walls she has built around her heart begin to crack. She asks herself why a single moment should matter after all this time, why a touch should burn hotter than the years that kept them apart. But she cannot deny it. Something has awakened. Something refuses to let her rest. He feels it too, though pride keeps him from admitting it. In the silence of his penthouse, with the city lights stretched out like a kingdom below, he remembers her laughter echoing in places now filled with silence. He remembers her courage, her warmth, her defiance of everything he thought he knew about life and love. The man who conquered boardrooms and empires finds himself conquered instead by the ghost of a woman he thought he had lost. Their lives begin to shift, drawn together by chance or perhaps by destiny's careful hand. They cross paths again, not by design but by fate's insistence. At a gallery opening, their eyes meet across the room. No words are exchanged, yet everything is spoken. A half-smile flickers on her lips, hesitant, unsure. His gaze lingers, torn between reaching out and retreating into silence. For a moment, the years fall away, and they are simply two souls caught in the gravity of what once was. But fire does not only warm, it burns. Alongside passion comes fear. She remembers the pain of their ending, the scars that time never healed. She wonders if opening her heart again is a mistake, if the flame will consume her instead of saving her. He wrestles with regret, with the fear of failing again, of losing her twice. The conflict is not only external, it is carved deep within their hearts, each carrying doubts that threaten to keep them apart even as destiny pushes them closer. The city itself becomes a mirror to their emotions. Rain pours down on crowded streets as they walk separately, yet both are lost in thought of each other. Neon lights reflect on wet pavement, fractured and colorful, just as their love once was broken, but beautiful. At night, she stands by her window, watching the lights of cars flow endlessly, and feels the ache of longing. He, across town, does the same, staring at the skyline with a glass of untouched wine in his hand. Two hearts, separated by miles, yet beating with the same restless rhythm. When they finally meet again, it is not planned. A bookstore, the same one where she once lingered over stories of second chances. He steps inside, searching for nothing in particular, and finds everything he thought he lost. Their eyes meet once more, and this time silence cannot hold back the tide. Words spill hesitant, broken, yet alive. Conversations that begin with simple pleasantries swell into laughter, into shared memories, into the warmth of something real. For the first time in years, they feel whole, but love reborn carries weight. The question is not simply whether they can feel the same again, it is whether they can survive the truths that time has carved. They are no longer who they once were. They are stronger, more fragile, more scarred. The fire burns bright, but fire must be tended carefully, or it will consume everything around it. Still, in that moment, sitting together once again, they allow themselves to believe. To believe that maybe destiny had not been cruel but patient. That maybe love had never left. It had only been waiting, waiting for this. Waiting for them, and as the night deepens and the world outside rushes on, their story, thought long finished, begins. Again, not as it was, but as it is meant to be. Love that returns after years apart is never simple. It carries the sweetness of memory, but also the weight of time, the scars of silence, and the fear of breaking all over again. For them, reunion is not a perfect ending, it is the beginning of a storm. A storm that will test not only what they feel for each other, but who they have become. At first, it feels almost like fate has offered them a gift. Long walks through familiar streets remind them of what once made them laugh. Quiet dinners, stolen glances, and hesitant touches spark a warmth that had never truly vanished. She finds herself smiling again, freely, as though no years have passed at all. He feels alive in a way no success, no empire, no achievement has ever given him. For brief golden moments, they taste what they once had: love without restraint. Love that fills the air like music. But time does not let go so easily. Shadows creep back in, old fears rise. She begins to question, is she simply falling into the same dream she once woke from in pain? Can she trust him again after all the silence, after all the years he did not come back? Her heart remembers joy, but it also remembers heartbreak. Every step closer is a risk, every smile a surrender. He wrestles with his own demons, his pride, his need for control. His fear of losing her once more, they weigh on him like chains. He wants to tell her everything, how empty life has been without her, how every victory rang hollow without her laughter, how every day carried her shadow, yet words fail him. And when words fail, silence builds walls again. Their love, reignited, begins to collide with the reality of who they are now. They argue not with rage, but with the ache of people who care too much. He wants to protect her, but she no longer needs saving. She wants him to open his heart, but vulnerability terrifies him. In their clashes, the truth becomes clear. Love alone is not enough. To be together, they must fight not only the world but themselves. The city reflects their struggle. Rain beats down harder, thunder rolling in the distance. One night, beneath the storm, she walks away from him, tears hidden by the downpour. He stands still, soaked to the bone, watching her leave, his hand trembling at his side. For a moment, it feels as though history is repeating itself, that they are doomed to remain nothing more than a memory, but destiny is not cruel, it is relentless. Days pass, filled with silence. She tries to bury herself in the life she built alone, yet nothing feels complete anymore. He drowns in regret, surrounded by wealth and power that suddenly seem meaningless. The world moves on, but their hearts do not. They remain tethered, unwilling to let go, no matter how hard they try. Then comes the moment, the choice. At an airport, where departures mean endings and arrivals mean beginnings, fate places them in the same space once more. She holds a ticket in her hand, ready to leave behind the city, ready to leave behind him. He arrives breathless, searching the crowd with eyes that finally show everything he has hidden for decades. When their eyes meet, time halts. There is no grand speech, no fairy tale perfection. Only honesty raw, trembling, unstoppable. He tells her the truth he once buried, that she was never just a chapter, she was the story. That every day without her was a mistake. That if he has to fight every fear, every scar, every shadow, he will. She listens, silent tears streaming, her heart torn between pain and the undeniable fire that still burns, and then her choice. She lets the ticket fall from her hand, drifting to the floor like the last leaf of autumn. In that small gesture, louder than any words, she answers, she is not leaving. Not this time. The storm breaks. In the middle of the crowded terminal, surrounded by strangers, they find each other again, not as they once were, but as they are now. Older, scarred, imperfect. Yet more real, more true, more alive. Their embrace is not the beginning of a fantasy. It is the rebirth of something stronger than time, stronger than silence. A love that has been tested, broken, and still chosen. As the music swells, their story closes not with a promise of perfection, but with the truth that love, real love, is worth every fight. For some connections, destiny will always circle back, and so the legendary love story is not over. It is reignited.